Number 43. 600 students write an examination. The probability of a randomly selected student failing the examination is a fifth. So 600 students are writing the exam. So 600 students are writing CXC Math. The probability of a randomly selected student failing this exam is 1 upon 5. That means that in every 5 students, one of them is going to fail. Now, how many students are expected to pass? If this is the amount of students who are expected to fail, how many students are expected to pass? 4 upon 5. That is 1 minus a fifth. So now we can say 4 over 5 times 600. So we want 4/5 of the 600. So when we divide the 600 by 5, we're going to get 120. Then 4 times 120 is equal to 480. So that's the amount of students that are expected to pass. Okay, so for this question, number 44, we're asked to find the interquartile range of the lengths of the fish. So now, how do we find the interquartile range? We want to find the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. So how do we find the upper quartile? How do we find the upper quartile and the lower quartile? So we do 3/4 times 20, and then we'll get 15. We go across and we go down, and right here is approximately 3.7. How do we find the lower quartile? We do 1/4 times 20, and that is equal to 5. Go across and down is equal to 1.2. The diagram that I drew is not as to scale as the one in the actual paper, but we get the point. So now that is equal to 3.7 minus 1.2, and that's 2.5, which is C. Okay, so number 45 gave us some diagrams, and they're asking which of these diagrams best illustrates a function. Now, we have to remember what a function is. Please remember that a function is a relation in which each input has only one output. So let us go. This input has one output, that's good. This input has 2 outputs, so this is not a function. Same with this is not a function. Realize this, I drew this a little bit bad, but all of the arrows are coming from this one input. So when you look at D, we realize that each input points to 1. So therefore this is a function. Continuing with number 46. The equation of the line which passes through the point 0, 5 and has a gradient of 4 is, so now remember that the equation of a line is equal to y for mx plus c. So this is the x and this is the y. So we're going to fill these into the formula to find c. We need to find c. So therefore x is 0, y is 5, m is the gradient, plus c. So therefore 5 is equal to 0 plus c. C is equal to 5. Now we write back the formula y is equal to mx plus c, and what we're going to fill in now is the m and the c. So we have y is equal to mx plus 5, and that is c. Okay, so number 47. So we're given a number line, right? And -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here is highlighted on the number line. So I'm going to write that in a different color. Here is highlighted on the number line. And we have an empty circle. Now, when you have an empty circle, it simply means that there is no underline under the equality. So where it have less than or greater than, so you have less than, greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. For these, you'll have a circle that is filled in. For these, you'll have an empty circle, right? So a way how I remember this is as I say, okay, The ones with nothing under it are empty, and the ones with something under it, it ball up the line and put it inside. So the the one with something under it is filled in. So the first thing that we realize is that it's not filled in, so therefore it has to be either one of these. Now, is it less than or is it greater than? So now we realize that we have the negatives and then we're moving into the positives. So therefore it is saying that the inequality is taking everything down this side. So all of these numbers are less than 1. 0 is less than 1, -1 is less than 1, -2 is less than 1, -3 is less than 1. So therefore the inequality that we are looking for is x is less than 1. Okay, so number 48. The gradient AB of the graph above. So we're given a graph. Okay, so for number 48, we are given a graph of a straight line and we're asked to find the gradient. How do we find the gradient of this line? So our gradient is the slope. How do we find the slope of this line? Now, how we do this is we're going to take the coordinates of each point. So this is the y-axis and this is the x-axis. So B is 6, 3, and A is 2, 1. Now, the gradient M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is, it doesn't matter which one you call x2 and it doesn't matter which one you call x1, just make sure that you're consistent. So if this is the one that you're doing the ones for, it should be x1 and y1, and this should be x2 and y2. If you want to call this one x2 and y2 and you want to call this one x1 and y1, that is fine, just be consistent. So I'm going to just call this one x2 and y2 and call this one x1 and y1. So now fill it in. So we have 3 minus 1 upon 6 minus 1. I'm sorry, 6 minus 2. So therefore that is 2 upon 4, and the gradient is a half. Just to show you that it doesn't matter which one you call x1 and y1, just be consistent. So if you're doing ones for this, keep it as 1. If you're doing 2s for this, keep it as 2. So I'm going to switch around which one I call x2 and show you that it doesn't make a difference. So using so we have y2, this is the new y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we have -2 over -4, negatives cancel and it's still a half, so it does not matter, just be consistent. So item 49, if fx is equal to 2x squared minus 1, then f of -3 is equal to, so the way how we're going to do this is that we realize that the -3 is replacing the x, so wherever we see x we're going to put -3. That is now 2 open bracket 9 minus 1, that is 18 minus 1, which is equal to 17, and that is C. Okay, so for number 50 we're given a graph called y is equal to 4x minus x squared, and we're asked to find the maximum point of the graph. The maximum point of the graph is right here. That is the highest point that the graph is meeting. So remember that this is the x, so we're going x first, always x first. So it's x, y, not yx. Do not make that mistake. So x is 2, 4. So the coordinates are 2, 4. And that is D. Okay, so now we are back on lines. Straight lines are our best friend. So now we're given an equation. 2y is equal to -3x minus 8. Right? Now, we might be tempted to say, oh, you know, it's in the form of a straight line. Let me just extract the -3 because that is now my gradient. No, that is not the case, guys. It has to have it has to be in the form y is equal to mx plus c, by saying that y must be the only, it has to be in a form where y is on this side by itself, no 2 or anything. So therefore we need to find a way to get rid of the 2. So therefore we're going to divide the entire equation by 2, because whatever you do to one side you have to do to the other side to keep the equation balanced. So now that is now going to be negative 3 upon 2x minus 8 upon 2, that would be 4. So therefore the gradient m would be minus 3 over 2, and that is b. So I'm given this function, I'm saying, what do you mean equation? What are you talking about? So basically you're trying to find out, yes, you get x and it turns into y, you get 2 and it turns into 5, you get 5 and it turns into 8, you get 8 and it turns into 11. What is happening? What is so common between all of them? So this is a very simple function. There's no multiplication or anything. So just by looking, I can see that y is equal to x plus 3. So whatever y is, so 5 is equal to x plus 3. So 5 is equal to 2 plus 3, and you can work it through and get it. If you're in the exam and you can't spot it like that, you can go through the options. You can go through every option. There's just 4. Go through the options and find out which one matches this function best, because sometimes you're just not going to get it, and the time that you're going to take is easier to just take the options and figure it out, because that's the beauty of multiple choice. Okay, so the question says, if each exterior angle of a regular polygon is 60 degrees, then the polygon is, so they say, quadrilateral, pentagon, hexagon, and triangle. Now, the way how we find the exterior angle, we do 360 divided by the number of sides. We have to remember that, okay, a quadrilateral has 4 sides. It could be a square or rectangle. A quadrilateral just has 4 sides. So it's 4 sides. Pentagon has 5, triangle has 3, and hexagon has 6. No. 360 divided by 4, that is 90. 360 divided by 5 is 72. 360 divided by 6 is 60. And 360 divided by 3 is equal to 120. So now the answer is hexagon C.